we framed one table, right? If you remember, I told it is not having any border, as it is built only using the HTML. The border was not there, the color was not there. It was simply a black and white kind of HTML, right? It didn't have any styling, right? So to apply the styling, so to apply the colors, size, borders and all, we go for CSS. Okay, if you see the name itself, it's a styling sheet. Okay, cascading styling sheet. So it's purely for styling. Okay, it will not say what to be displayed, but it will say how it should be displayed. Okay, this cascading style sheets is used to style the HTML document to apply styles like color, size, and borders and all. Okay. And it will say how the elements should be displayed. And there are different ways of applying styles to your HTML document. So we can use external style sheets also, which means some external files. We'll see as part of next slides. So it saves a lot of how, because let's say you are okay. So let's say you are having one table. Okay, and just take copy pasting any table from the online, because we'll not take time to type the code for table. As we have already seen. So there is no border or no color or something. So let's say I want to apply a font color of some blue color to this heading. Then what we have to do is, okay, see, yeah, I have to italicize all the fonts. Okay, the all the TD data. Initially, we have seen one tag, right, italics tag. So with the help of HTML, what you have to do, you have to write the italics tag to every element. Just write for some 2 or 3. So it has to be italicized, has to be written for every element. So it is kind of time consuming, and your HTML file will also become much bigger. So when it has to be loaded into your browser, it will take more time and more space. So, and also there could be chances of some errors or some chances of inconsistency. Let's say you are missing, there are around 1000 plus TD tags and you are missing to add this italics tag here. So there will be inconsistency in your UI also. And refreshing this. You see, for every element I added italics, there also I missed italics for few. So there are chances of inconsistency, and the size of file will also get bigger. Okay. So to avoid this, what they have come up with is the solution of applying styles to the elements. So just I will show it as one example. Then we'll see it in detail. Okay. So as I told already, the header tag will not have the actual data. It will have only the metadata. Your styles will come under the header tag only. So all your styles should reside inside the header only. So what I will say is, for every TD element, okay. So it is font style, I guess, to apply bold. Style property. Like for every HTML, you have a name value property, right? So the CSS will be also kind of name value pair. So you'll be writing the selector, which means to which element you are going to apply this styling. So I'm saying for every TD element, apply this styling, and the styling is font style should be italic. Okay, I'm saving this. Now I'm refreshing the page. So now every font has become in a italics manner. Okay, so It has avoided my time, my manual error, and the large file size. So instead of writing styles at every element, we can write style in one place and it will apply to all the elements satisfying this condition. Okay, so the selector is a TD. So which means apply the style to all the TD elements and the style is you are changing the font style to italic. Okay, so this is one note you have to make note of. The styles should be written, can be written in the style tag. So there are three ways you can apply this styling. So this is why we need, and also the table, right? I will just try showing you like how we apply border. Okay, so I am writing this table as the selector. Apply the styling for the table element, and the styling is I am going to apply the border style. So this and all we will see in detail. I am saying the thickness of the border, right, is 1 pixel, and there are some styles also. Okay, styles and color I am seeing. Just as of now, don't worry about these styles for and syntax and all. We are going to see that for the next 30 to 40 minutes. So no worries. So for the table, I'm applying the border. So currently, it didn't have any border. I have applied for the table. For TD, around every TD also we need a border, right? So I am including TD style for TD elements also for every TD and for TH also. So if it is for multiple elements, you can note that I am including a comma here. Okay, so we have got a click. This I refreshed. So that's how. It defines the styling. Okay, so we'll get into detail. So there are three ways you can apply styling to any element. Okay, so whatever we have seen is the internal CSS. So internal means inside the inside your HTML file, in your inside your head tag, your styling will be present. It is internal. Inline means it is more specific. Okay, it is more specific to some element. For example, for this TD element alone, he needs some special kind of attention. So what I'm going to tell is, I'm going to assign styling only for this particular element. So style equal to, so style can be an attribute also. So one thing, it can be a tag in head tag or it can be an attribute of the TD tag. So style equal to, you have to say the name value, right? So for font color, we use the property called color. So let's say it is red. It is inline CSS. This is internal CSS. So I will run this code now, saving this. This TD alone, I have applied the styling. Okay. So when you apply the style at the head, it will be applied to all the elements that satisfy this condition. When you apply to some particular element, it is called inline CSS and it will be applied only to that particular element. Okay. So the other mode is internal has, the other one is external CSS. So there will be some other external CSS file written. Okay, let's say external CSS file. It assigns font color to the table header. So I am creating a new file. Okay, it should be saved with the for all table header. Background color should be giving this as external CSS. So the CSS file should have the extension is .css. CSS. Okay, and it should be saved in the same folder as of the HTML folder. I'm saving this. Now I have to refer the CSS in our code. Okay, so that has to be done using the link tag. See the external CSS. There we have to refer the newly created CSS tag. So I will try to refresh the page and I will explain everything. So that yeah, I will go run through this page one. There are three ways of applying CSS: inline, internal, and the external. Right? So the inline CSS you give for every element. So inline is at element level. Internal is at the same file. Inside head tag you will be defining the style tag. And external CSS means you will be writing a separate CSS file and you should include that inside the HTML file using link tag. So we have implemented all three here. So if you see for this element, the font color is red. So this is inline CSS. So in using style tag, whatever we define, it will be applicable to the entire HTML program. So this is internal CSS and this is the external CSS. So the external CSS, we have written some CSS property. For table header, background color should be blue and the font color should be white. So we have applied all three styling in a one file. But let's say there is one thing I forgot to mention. Why we go for this external CSS? There are multiple web pages. Let's say you're inside Facebook. Okay, in Facebook you have multiple pages, right? One is viewing your profile, and another one is news feed, and other one is that messenger, right? You have one tab for chatting, and so for all the page, let's say these three are different three HTML pages. So you will have you're in Facebook you are having, let's say, three HTML pages. Okay, profile.html, newsfeed.html, and for chat window you are having chat.html. Okay, so for all the three HTML files, if you see the background color, right, it will be, if you see, all the colors will be in blue color. The background color should be, and there should be some font style also. Okay, font family. The font family also, it will be same across. Let's say they are using, let's say they are using Arial, the font family as Arial. So this background color blue and font family as Arial is there. Branding styling. So for, if we see Facebook, they will say this is our branding. Our branding color is blue. Our branding family is Arial. So we shouldn't go and write in all these three files saying that the background color should be blue, font should be Arial. So we have to do the changes in three files. So instead, if we have a common file like this, okay, so it says the background color is blue, we can refer this external CSS file in all the three HTML pages. Just what you have to do is, you have to refer this file in all the three HTML pages so that all your pages will look familiar, isn't it? So that's why to apply branding styles for any art or to apply same CSS to multiple HTML files, we go for external CSS. So this will give us a consistent view across your website, and it will avoid any manual error also. Okay, so that's why we go for external CSS. Let's say in this example we are applying styling using all three ways, right? Inline, internal, and external. Let's say you are giving three contradictory information in three different styles of CSS. So, for example, for this TH from external CSS, it is saying, yeah, we should apply blue color, and this internal CS, okay, it says for TH we should apply yellow color. Yes, the inline styling says we have used yellow, we have used green. Currently, for external CSS says blue, internal says yellow, inline says it should be green. So there are three contradictory kind of styling we have applied for one element, that is for table header element. Okay, so there is order of precedence or order of priority given. So I had added that in a style. So in internal, external. Okay, so whatever is given in inline styling, it will get applied. Okay, so I will run this program. So inline says it is green, right? So the expectation is inline styling is of high priority. Okay, so it should apply green color only. Refreshing this page. So when the inline is not there, and only these two are there, internal and external are there. So internal takes over the precedence. So internal styling should get applied. So I'm removing the inline styling. So internal and external is there. So internal should take precedence. Now the yellow color should appear for table header. So the precedence is inline will be first and then external and then to the internal styling. Okay, so when both internal and external styling are present, for external it is black, for internal it is red. So when both internal and external are present, external will be applied. So the order of precedence is inline followed by external followed by internal. So that's how the logic works. The selector format. So like we have seen how the CSS style should be written. So first you have to write the selector. Okay. So to which element it should be applied, and again it's a name value property. So which property we need to change and to which value. Okay. So this is the format selector, and the name value pairs should be given in this curly braces, and every name value property should be separated by a semicolon here. So for this table header itself, we have applied two properties, right? So there should be a separator of semicolon here. And if we have to apply for multiple elements, right? If you see, we have applied the border for table TD, TH. So here we should select multiple elements using the comma operator. So which means apply the styling to all the three elements. So that's the syntax I have shown here. So selector, and it's a declaration block with name value pair. So okay, so selectors, even we have multiple selectors. So that is the main thing you have to understand. So there are multiple selectors. So just change the order. So class selector, ID selector, element selector, attribute selector. So I will explain one by one. So whatever we have seen till now, right, it's an element selector, which means you are selecting the element based on the tag name. Okay, so it is TH. So there are multiple other ways. Okay, so the other ways are class selector. Okay, class selector will begin with dot notation, and ID selector will begin with hash notation, and there is one other selector called attribute selector. So it will be in the format of this square brackets. We will see one by one. So I have taken one example to show you. Okay, I will take that link. So make you understand this class and ID better. Okay. Whatever you see, whenever you travel in a bus or a flight, you are given the option to select your preferred seat, right? That we call it a seat map. It's nothing. It is built just using the HTML and CSS file only. So this is how your seat map looks like, right? So if you see, it's again a simple HTML file with CSS applied. It's a table of rows. It's simply a rows. In the first row, whatever seats we should show. Okay, they had given. So it is. So this is one table. This left side is one table, and this is another table. So the row numbers, right? They had given. Okay, J, G, and one blank space. Yes, this link is there in PPT. I can share it in Click also. Maybe you can open in your system and you can just go through if needed. Okay, so this is how the HTML for the seat map looks like. Okay, so here 1J, it's a available seat. Okay, and it is a 2J, it is an unavailable seat. Okay, so for available seat, the color should be gray. For the booked seat, for the seat unavailable, for all the unavailable seat, the color should be gray. And for all the available seat, the color should be green, right? And this E, right? What is this E? This 4J. This is extra pay. If you select this blue color, it will be, you need to pay more. Okay. So it's not just one element. There are multiple elements of same type, right? So there are, let's say, 30 available seats, 10 unavailable seats, and let's say there are 10 extra pay seats. So there are multiple TD, but the styling should be different. For green available, it is green color. For unavailable, gray color. So what they will do is, they will assign the proper class. So for the available seats, they will be giving the common classes seat available. For 5J, right? 5J means it. So this is seat available, seat available. It will have classes seat available. And for unavailable, there is one common class name given. Okay. So for the extra, it is some other class name given. So it is class is kind of, when we go for class means it's a grouping of elements to which same styling has to be applied. So ID selector means it will be unique once in the UI. So the thing is, the point to remember is there will be more than one element, same class name. For example, seat available. Okay. So if I write the selector as simply dot, so I have to select all the elements with class name as seat available, right? So dot seat available. So this dot means select all the elements having this class, and you have to apply the styling of color equal to green. Okay, the same thing. We can't go with the element selector here because all the elements, right, they come under TD category. So if we select TD category and apply some color, it will apply to all the seats. So there should be some grouping or categories. So these categories can be done using the class names. Okay, so if we have to choose all the elements with same class, you have to use the dot notation. And ID selector. Okay, so ID selector means it will be unique with only one element present. Let's say this 1J and 1G are alerted. Sorry, 1J is alerted for the, there is only one seat, that is 1J, that is available for different, or let's say it is for VIP. Seat. So this 1G is specifically allotted for seat VIP and there will be only one seat. Okay, so here we need to give the attribute as ID because there is going to be only one seat. So I'm giving ID equal to seat VIP. I'm running this. So the seat available property is not yet applied. So what we have to give is, we have to select the seat, right? So to select a seat with specific class, yeah, they are using dot notation, dot that class name, background color they have applied. Okay, so to select the element with specific ID, what ID I had given, I take that. Here we have to use hash notation. Okay. Hash notation. Here, background color is. So there will be one element that should be okay. So if you are using ID, there should be only one element in the UI with the same ID. And if you have to choose the element with the ID, you have to put a hash before it. Okay. So as I told, element selector means you will be selecting using the TD. Here it couldn't be applied because every type of seat needs a different color. So here we couldn't go with the TD selector. Instead, we are going with the class and ID selector. As there are multiple available seats, they are given with same class name. Okay, seat available, and they are using dot notation. And if there is only one element with some specific property, we have to give it a unique ID, and we have to use the hash selector to select that particular element. So this is what it's all about the selectors. If you see the different types of selectors are class selector, ID selector, and element selector we have seen. And the other one is attribute selector. Okay, so the same thing we will try to replicate here in our own. I will show it in our attribute selector in our case. Let's say in the part of a seat map to my code. So I'm trying to, as it is very small, right? I'm just trying to apply the width and height properties for it. Okay. So this is how a row in seat map looks like. So the attribute selector, right? So how it will work is, let's say the attribute name is, the ID is the CD. We will just enable some disable here. Attribute selector will be like, it should be written in a square bracket notation, and here you should give the attribute name followed by attribute value. So select the element with class name as extra pay and apply this styling. So let's see for extra pay attribute selector will look like this. So it should be written in a, and I mean the square bracket with the attribute name equal to the attribute value. Okay, so there are some other options also. Okay, so here let's say there are two extra pay seats. Okay, so one is maybe is there is no the design the class name is not given. You have the ID for these two extra pay seats, but they are not equal. There is some deviation or variance here. Okay, so part of the ID will be constant always. So it is extra pay. It will be constant always, and the remaining text may vary. So in the attribute selector, you can use some operators like contains starts with. Okay. So here, if the class name starts with the ID starts with extra pay, we can apply the styling. So that is attribute selector. Some characters are there. Okay. This is expect match. The value contains. So if the ID contains extra pay, apply this background styling. So that's what is given here. I'm saving this. We are rerunning this program. Means select all the elements that have ID starting with extra pay. So these are different types of selector available. The main items are class selector, ID selector, and attribute selector. So we have seen everything here. I've seen all types of selectors here in CSS, and there is concept of box model in CSS, which you have to understand very clearly so that it will help you in your designing part. So in box model, you will have the actual content, padding, border, and margin. Okay, so I will show it with the example. I will have an span element. Okay, so the help of span element, it will be easily understandable. Okay, so for span, I am applying a border here. The property is the thickness and the style. So let's say it is dotted. The color. There is a content here. You can, yeah. So I'm just going to inspect this element. I'm right clicking on this element, clicking inspect. You can see the box model here. Okay, so if you click, you will see the box model at the end of the elements tab. Okay, so this is the actual content. Okay, around actual content, you will have padding, border, and margin. Okay, so actual content is there. There is no padding we had given, and the border 1 pixel I had given, right? So in all the four sides, it is showing 1 pixel of border. There is no margin and there is no padding. That's why it is saying it is hyphen. Okay. I will. I have to say the difference between the border and the margin. Okay. So you'll be using these two stylings very often. So border, it will add some space outside the element border. Inside the element border, if you have to add some space, you have to give padding. We can see, so padding means inside the border, margin means outside the border. So we will see this in the example, you will get it more clear. So there are two span elements, solid type of border. Okay, so this text should be present somewhat inside this border. There should be some space between the border and the text because it is unreadable, right? Kind of. So I want to move it inside the border. Then I will be giving the padding. Okay. So if I give the padding, the text will be moved inside the border. Giving padding 5 pixel for the span. Okay. So refreshing. Okay. Um, Between this border and the content, some space have got introduced. If you inspect here, the content is there and the padding of 5. If you see the element, the green color, right? The green color background is the padding that have got introduced. Padding of 5 pixel is introduced and there is a border of 5 pixels. So I want a space between these two elements. I want to add some space. I mean outside the border. Then I will be giving margin. Okay. Refresh and if I inspect actual content and padding of 5 pixel inside the border, the actual border and margin. So if you see, the margin is added outside the border. So for the other element also the same thing have got applied. Let's say we have a gap here, like margin 10 pixel for the first element, margin 10 pixel for the second element. So you have to know this box model. This padding and margin will play a very major role in your design. Okay. So if it is inside a between a border and content, it's padding. If it is outside a border, you have to apply margin. And you have, when you inspect, right, you will see the box model one thing. You will see the box model for every element. And here, you can apply multiple styles, right? As we have seen, the inline property will take precedence, right? You can see for this element, what are all the borders that it has tried to apply. Okay. So from the element style means from the tag style. Sorry, here. From the tag style, the 3 pixel dotted red border was applied, and from the internal CSS, it was trying to apply the 5 pixel border, and finally this took precedence based on the predefined order of execution. So this is kind of striped out and this value have got applied. So when you are not sure like from where this styling is coming from, because if you see a large website, there would be multiple external CSS will be referred to. So you will not be sure like from where this property is getting applied. What you have to do is you have to just inspect the element and see like you can query also from where this border is getting applied. So one is from element style, the other option is through the internal style. So it is not applied because of the distance. And you have one more tab for computed here. Okay, in the computer, you will see the consolidated properties here, like which is applied here. So in the styles, you will see which was, I mean, all the references here in the computer, the final version, like which one was applied, you can see it here. See the border with two things was two CSS styles were right, and this have got applied. So that's what I can see it here also. So this will help you in your debugging scenario. Okay, so if you want to know the source of the CSS, you have to check in the styles tab. We have seen the box model now, the padding, border, and then margin, right? So this is one important aspect in your CSS. And the CSS units, if you see, I have used the unit, right? The width and height. We usually use the width, height, border styling, everything in pixel only. But actually, this is not a recommended way. In my laptop, let's say we have seen the video example, right? HTML video example. So that also the why we shouldn't go for the pixel unit, I will say. So this is also one best practice you have to keep in mind. If you don't give anything, it means the default unit is a pixel for CSS. Okay, so we can give centimeter also here. There are some allowed units here. So if you see some units like CM or PX are used, it usually appears as exactly that size. Okay, which means in inspect tab you can see how the website will appear in mobile mode also. Okay, so actually it is always advisable to use the relative units only. That's because if you use the absolute means the length units are fixed, right? In some devices, if you use the constant units in some mobile devices or in some other external devices, right? It will not work as expected. So you have to always use the relative properties. So that is EM and REM. So I will just show an example. So the EM and REM are not of the same size. It's not of the fixed size. It will be relative to the existing HTML document. Just I will show that how the relative units will work out. Lengths, right? The commonly used are EM and REM we used to use, and also the percentage we have to use. So we would suggest using relative over absolute because it may not work for it may not work for some device, the configuration. So if you see the first one is EM, right? If you see the EM, it's the actual font size, right? For the span, font size is given as 0.5 EM. Okay. It is related to the actual size. Okay. So if we don't give this, the size of the span will be 30 pixel. Okay, because the span is inside a div element. The size of the div element is 30 pixel. Okay, so the span will also get the CSS values inherited from its parent. So in many of the cases, when you don't give a specific style to the child element, the styling from the parent will get applied. Okay, so the size for the span is 30 by default. So the actual size is 30. So if you want to reduce it to 15 pixel, so it is half of the actual amount, right? So we have to give it is 0.5 em. So in 30, the 0.5 is 15. Now the span's font size will be 15 pixels. So the font size is 0.5 em here, right? In computer tab, if you go and see, this is 15 pixels. It has calculated the 0.5 em is 15 pixels, and finally it has applied 15 pixels. So 10% is 3 pixels. So I give 8, which means 24 pixel it has to be. So in 30, the 80% is 24. So in the actual size, the relative value will be calculated if you use the EM unit. So there is one other called REM. So the REM is times the browser's font size. Browser's font size means the parent size, right? The root element size. You see, the HTML size is 16, right? So this is the root element. For root element, it is 16 pixels. So if you give REM, it is 2 into 16. So for top div, it will be 32 pixels. On its actual size, so its actual size is 30. Relative to that, it has calculated 0.8, and the REM is relative to the root element. For the root element, what is the font size? 16. So 2 REM is into 2 we have to take. So, and also one other relative size we use is percentage. Okay, so the font size of the parent is 16, and here for the inside div we are using 150 percentage. So this is why we go for this relative size increases. The font size of this element will also get increased as we are using the calculation. We are not hard coding anything, right? Like these many pixels. So it will calculate and it will adjust the font size accordingly. So we need to go for relative styling, relative units. So in CSS, the main things we have covered, the different types of selector and different ways to apply the styles and the syntax for CSS. So these are some examples on the commonly used selectors, and we have seen some properties also, right? The font style, background color means it's the font color. So to explore this more, we have to spend some more time on this. So it may take time. So these are the most common used properties that I have covered for today: color, background color, font size, border, everything. Common.
Yeah, Madhumati. Yeah, Madhu, you are disconnected.
I got disconnected. I am sharing my screen again. A responsive model also, but I think we are running out of time. Just I will say like what is that responsive design and why we need to go for responsive design. Okay. So responsive means your website will adjust itself according to the size of the screen. So if you see a website in mobile, it will be displayed properly, adjusting to the mobile size. And a very large monitor, the website will be shown accordingly. So that is a responsiveness of the website, and a good website should be responsive. When you develop a new HTML page, you should consider this responsiveness into account. Okay, so I'll just show one very bad non-responsive website, like how it shouldn't be. Okay, so this is a non-responsive website. Okay, so when I scroll down, when I sorry, not scroll down, when I zoom out, the content becomes unreadable, right? And when I zoom in, okay, there is it introduces the scroll bar. So if I have to see the whole content, I have to scroll down. Okay, so this means when the screen size varies, the website will become clumsy to use. You see like how it been shown in your mobile device. If you see some of the content are wiped off, it is not there, right? Okay, so in order to overcome this problem, we need to go for responsive web design. So which means um, there are two frameworks available, two patterns available. We commonly use in CSS. Okay, it's a design model. It's a flex and grid model. If you put your elements inside this flex and grid model, your CSS page will become responsive. Okay, so when you adjust the screen size also, every element will be readable, and there will not be any new scroll bar getting added. Okay, so just we can see one example. We'll not have time to go through all these through all the two CSS design model. So just I will go walk you through the flex model. Okay, so the flex example, I will show some example, one basic example. You can go through it and come up with any queries. Right? It will be a kind of the model will be like there will be a parent flex. Flex means that if you put the elements inside flex, it will be responsive. Okay. Inside parent, you will multiple steps. Okay. So here, having one parent is define the parent. You have to give the styling and sorry. Okay. Let's say it is having three inner elements. So the if you see here, we have a parent div tag. Okay, so inside parent div tag we have three. One second. Okay, so the styling is taking time. We don't have time. Have some styles defined underneath. Just I will explain one code here. You will understand how this flex model makes the website responsive. Okay. See, we have a flex container. The final output is like this. Okay, so there are two elements here, 1 and 2. When you resize, okay, the row order gets changed. The row alignment gets changed into the column alignment. Okay, so when you see it in a website, you will have the elements 1 and 2 like this. When you see it as a mobile version, it will be arranged in a Okay, so this is the output, right? So when you see the same output in mobile, the alignment will be in a column format, like one above and two below. And when you see it in a website, the alignment will be in a row format. So this is how the responsive website will work. So the responsive website, if you see in the mobile version, we used to hide some unwanted buttons or some unwanted buttons also. So for mobile version, the UI will be different, and for the desktop version, the look and feel will be different. So that's why we go for the flex option. So how we will write the flex model is, you see here. Okay, so that will be always a flex container. You see the two flex elements will be here. So for the parent one, we have to display. We have to give the property as display flex and flex direction as row. Okay, so flex direction means row means the place the elements in a row direction. So it is to make it responsive, the parent should be given these two properties. That's what I was trying to say. That is like inline block, right? The flex is also a display property. Should be given as flex, and the direction we can mention here. So we give column. It will be the elements will be aligned in the child elements will be aligned in the column direction. So there are lot more properties to discuss. As we don't have time today, I'm just leaving it here. So under the flex parent, right, the flex container. So the direction is given as row. So in the row, it is arranged. So when it is, there is a concept called media query also. So and the maximum width is 800, which means the size of the screen, the width of the screen is below 800. Change the order of the elements to column. So when it is above 800, it will be in a row manner. The normal thing will get executed. The flex direction will be row. And when the size of the screen is below 800 pixel, which means it is for a tab or a mobile device, the alignment should be changed to the column way. So that's why we use media query and the combination of flex. You can go through the flex box and grids when you have time. So we have some basic exercises. I mean, can we see it now, or can this be given as task, Anandji?
If you want, you can give an assignment to them so that they can try it out.
Okay. These are all small tasks of 5 to 10 minutes. Can we give it now, or can they do it later, Anandji, when they have time?
Yeah, you can give the exercise so that they can
Okay.
do it later. So just
Yeah.
copy paste this in the chat so that they can copy those things.
Okay. Yeah. Before that, any queries on the CSS, as we had very minimal time, couldn't cover much on this responsive model. So, you have any queries in the other areas, right?
Yeah, you can
I get
unmute
your,
and
yeah, you can unmute and ask. Is everything clear?
okay, there is no question, then everything is clear. I think so.
I'm posting the assignments here. So when you have time and on your own interest, you can do that. Okay. So first task I thought of having is we had a discussion on table, right? So I wanted to see a table of scorecard designed by you guys. So that should have the subject name for one student. Okay, let's say it's for you. What is the subject name and what is the marks they have scored? Okay, so it will have table header, a subject and marks, and all the relevant data inside the TD tags. So it's about table forming. So and we see ordered list, the second task. So ordered list and unordered list, right? So I thought of you to work on uh, every day. You in the morning you write a list of to do tasks, right, for your own reference. So I wanted to see how it will look like when you write it in a HTML. So unordered list of to do tasks for the day, and The third one is a form with two input boxes, username. So like what we have done today, username, the same two input boxes, username and password, and with a sign in button. So this is for table list form, and uh, your flex model I have thought of, but yeah. So we have to separate the UI into two columns using flex model. It's kind of a newspaper. You have to display two or three paragraphs in two columns, including some images, like how a newspaper looks like. Okay. So this is for applying border style. So like to apply border, we have seen some, yeah, we have some properties, right? You have to check for that, and you have to apply 5 different border styles. So that is solid dotted. There are multiple styles available. I wanted you to try that. And like what we have done, we created two span elements and we worked on applying border, margin, and padding, right? So to make clear on margin and padding, we can work on some two span elements with the margin and padding applied. So this is fine. So this is for class and ID selected. Okay. So let's say you have a table of applicants. So the expectation was like, okay, applicant name, age. Let's say there is an event that is going to happen. So here there will be three columns. One is the applicant name. So it is the registration portal is open, and the applicant name is, let's say, application one, applicant two, applicant three, and their age or gender, what they had given. Country, sorry. Applicant one is from India, is the host. Okay. So the expectation is there should be some table like this. So these are all the participants of the event. So all the participants who are from India, so they has to be those records to be given with some different background or font color. So the expectation is there will be grouping based on the class name. So the applicant is Indian, so the class name would be something like that, and he'll be displayed in one color or background color. And for host, there can be only one host, right? So for the host, I thought we'll be giving unique ID and we'll be showing them in a different color. So that is the final exercise here. For the host, we should be giving a unique ID and a different styling. For applicants, country as India, we should give assigning one class, like what we have seen for seat map. We are going to highlight applicants in a different color based on their origin country and role, whether they are a host or a applicant. So that's what it's up to your level of imagination. So these were the tasks that I have planned for today.